we have two great mentors. We have two great teachers for this class. That's a very exceptional one. I'm glad I picked project management. All right, so we have an important guest with us, and just like our mentor has hinted us, is a very great person that will be taking us into this section. All right, permit me to read the citation of our very unique guest in our midst. Interestingly, our guest is already with us. That alone already shows the kind of mind they have. They're already here with us. All right, so let me read the citation of our special, very special guest tonight. Pelumi Oluwatayo is the technical assistant to the CEO and assistant project management at Agivent Group, where he oversees and delivers oil and gas projects, providing innovative solutions to industry challenges. He began his career as a student intern and through excellence and commendation rose to his current role. Wow. So from student intern and climbed the ladder to his current role. That was very interesting. With certifications in project management, data analysis, and business analytics, he has successfully led multiple projects in the oil and gas sector. Wow, we're privileged to have somebody with such a rich profile. All right, I continue. A committed member of the Society of Petroleum Engineers since 2016. That's about 9 years ago. Pelumi has authored 3 SPE publications and served as the overall team lead of the University of Ibadan student chapter, leading it to win the prestigious SPE Presidential Award for Outstanding Student Chapter. Wow. He has also received several notable awards, including the SPE Lagos Section Young Professional Subcommittee Service Award, the Agivent Award of Excellence, and recognition as Employee of the Month for his dedication, leadership, and outstanding contributions to the energy industry and professional communities. I believe we are celebrating, we can celebrate it with clap. Like that's actually a very, very rich profile. He is also the current president of the Platform for Innovation and Productive Ideas, PIPI, an energy research organization profiling solutions to societal, humanitarian, and environmental problems through science and technology. Our guest speaker, aside the professional journey, we can see a great leadership experience that he has gathered. Very fantastic. He also serves as the regional qualifiers chairperson for the Mathematics for Life Foundation and as a mentor with MISS TYB's Foundation, MEF Mentorship Program, where he guides young talent in developing their professional and personal potential. Wow. Young in both mind and spirit, and that's the beauty of it. Young, but yet with such a great profile, with such a great speed in the field. Young in both mind and spirit, Pelumi is deeply passionate mentoring young professionals and equipping them with the skill and mindset needed to thrive in project management and the energy industry. With great excitement, with great joy, with our clapping, we'll welcome our special guest tonight, Mr. Engineer Oluwatayo. You're welcome, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for honoring the invitation. Thank you so much for availing yourself tonight. We can't wait to have a very insightful and powerful section. Thank you so much. Please, you can have the floor. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much for the very, very kind introduction. Yeah. Yes, my name is Pelumi, and don't be swayed by the citation. I'm just a young engineer like you all. Right, so as the introduction said, I'll give you a brief about myself. I rose from the position of a student intern up until the technical assistant to the CEO and the assistant project manager at Ajivin. Yeah, I have a background in petroleum engineering at the University of Ibadan. Currently, I'm in Lagos, where the head office is, and I hope that it's going to be very, very nice today. We're going to have a very nice session. Permits me to ask, how long do I have?
Please take your time.
All right, all right, all right. All right, so it's a pleasure for me to be here today to share insights on the very important aspects of project management in engineering, drafting effective contracts, and managing risks. That's a very, very important aspect of project management that every engineer, regardless of the background, should actually be focused on. Engineering projects are complex, involve multiple stakeholders, high investments, significant uncertainties. So yeah, on the other hand, risk management also ensures that we identify potential threats very early on before we start the project, assess their impacts, implement strategies to minimize the disruptions. So in today's session, since I have the floor, and I hope that the time would not be too much, we would explore the types of contracts commonly used in engineering projects and the applications, risk management processes, including identification, assessment, mitigation, and monitoring. Practical case studies would have a short case study amongst ourselves. And by the end, I hope that you would have a clearer understanding as to how projects, how contracts and risk assessment and management applies in engineering projects generally. So I'll be sharing my slide now. Right. Just confirm you can see my screen.
Yes, sir. We can see your screen, sir. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. Right. So today's session is on drafting contract agreements and risk management. I would like us to be as open as we can be. As someone would say, no man is an island of himself. So we're supposed to unlearn, learn, and relearn. So in case you already know, it's another opportunity for you to really understand what you have known before. So I'll be going through this outline. Key elements of a contract, drafting effective contracts, type of contract, engineering projects, introduction to risk management, types of project risks, management and mitigation strategies, allocation in contracts, and also we'll be having a case study. Right. So what's a contract? As simple as it is, a contract is a legally binding agreement between two or more parties that creates mutual enforceable obligations to perform or not perform a particular duty. So basically what this means is a contract is just a document, just one document between two people or two or more people. Say party A and party B, that's two people. Then party A versus party B and C, that's more than two people now. So someone might beg to differ that why are you having several parties in a contract? Now it's as simple as it sounds. A contract is legally binding. It's just like a proof of your agreement. Say you go to a phone store, you buy maybe the latest iPhone 17 that is yet to come out, and then you're issued a receipt. So that receipt is telling you, yes, you consent to the price, to the amount of that phone, and you're also agreeing that you're signing your agreement to confirm that you have probably like a year or 2 years warranty from the company. So the company gives you that warranty, you are paying the money. So you have both agreed on the price, and you have also agreed that whatever liability is going to occur from this phone has been transferred from the company to the user, as the case might be. So say some companies will only tell you that for 6 months, they are going to give you a warranty. Depending on usage, say, oh, it's only going to be about hardware or software. Now, if it's software, the company is giving the guarantee on, and then probably you break your phone screen and you take it back. They're going to refer back to that receipt that yes, you actually signed that we, meaning the company, would only be liable for any software damage that's going to be on that phone. So basically, that's what the contract is. Now, as simple as it is, coming down, say, going through a public transport, the conductor tells you the price is 200 naira to your destination. If you enter the vehicle, it means you are ready to pay that 200 naira. But if you bargain before you enter that vehicle, it means that you are making a counter offer. The conductor made his offer, it's that you accept or you make a counter offer. Now you're making a counter offer, say 100 naira. If the conductor accepts, you go in. It means that you have sealed that contract for 100 naira. So imagine if the conductor calls the price 200 naira and then you go in having just 100 naira. By the time you get to your destination, it's going to be a problem because there was no agreement between both parties. And basically, that's what contract is. So why do contracts matter? They define the scope, the roles, and the responsibilities of both parties. They clarify timelines, deliverables, and payment terms. That is very important. Very, very important. Payment disrupts a lot of businesses. They ensure legal protection for all parties, and they provide a framework for dispute resolution. So aside from defining the scope, telling you this is everything we're expecting from you in this particular contract, for this particular duration, we are telling you that, oh, we are splitting this project into milestones, or we are telling you that should in case there be any disruption of the project activities, you come back or you refer to that contract to see the guidelines to follow on. Now, these are the key elements of the contract. The parties involved, party A and B, or party A, B, and C, as the case might be. The scope of work, clearly defined. Deliverables and milestones. Now, deliverables and milestone is, deliverable means at the end of this contract, what are you expected to deliver to the client? You now, you are the contractor. I am the client. The company giving you the contract is the client. You are the contractor. So basically, the client is telling you, at the end of this contract, you're supposed to have built a 5-story building. If at the end of the contract you built a 4-story building, you have not delivered on the contract. Your payment time is also specified on the contract. The risk allocation, termination clause is very important. Termination clauses means, should in case this happens, say the gentleman that was not able to deliver a 5-bedroom apartment, but delivered a 4-bedroom apartment. So in a contract, it would have been stated that should in case this contractor is not willing or is unable to provide a 5-bedroom apartment, it means that we are terminating the contract with him and we'll probably sue him and get our money back, and then he won't pay damages in excess for that. So if it's not spelled out in a contract, if you see the person will actually win the case because he could claim that you did not tell him because it wasn't in the contract. Liability and indemnity. So liability means you as a person, just using the example that I mentioned earlier, the contractor is liable, is one that is supposed to provide a 5-bedroom. But indemnity is you trying to redeem yourself. You are trying to free yourself from any issue that would occur during the course of that project. Confidentiality also means that, okay, during the course of this project, during the course of the construction, it means that you are not supposed to disclose any information relating to that particular project and dispute resolution in case of any emergencies or any disruptions that could come up, maybe between the contractors, people, maybe between the client and the contractor, as the case might be. So now, drafting contracts. You start with being very, very specific. You know, it's very clear. I want to build a 5-bedroom apartment. It is as simple as it is. It is very simple. You just want to build a 5-bedroom apartment. Now, unambiguous is you saying, or I would like to build on a 50-acre land, 3 bedrooms facing the southwest corner, 2 bedrooms facing the north. You know, it begins to sound very, very confusing. So if it's not as simple as a layman can understand it, then you have not defined the scope. So your contract should always be very simple, specific, go straight to the point, and should be unambiguous. Also, align it with the project objectives. The objective of this project is to deliver a 5-bedroom apartment. If in your contract, you are not only delivering a 5-bedroom apartment, you are delivering a 10 kVA generator, you are delivering 15 kilowatts solar installation, then it's no longer within scope. That's outside the project objectives, unless it has been defined in the scope of work. Ensure compliance with local and international laws. This is very important because wherever you are, there are laws. There are regulatory authorities, that regulatory bodies that matter, and they have to implement the law. So you have to make sure that you are compliant with the local laws or the international laws, depending on where the project is going on. Always anticipate potential risk. Risk is very, very important. You are trying to identify the risk that could come up while building. Okay, you're supposed to build a 5-bedroom apartment, and you're identifying a risk as to, oh, am I supposed to use a sandy soil, a loamy soil, or a clay soil? Saying if I'm using a sandy soil, is it going to be able to absorb water? Is it going to absorb the cement? Is the building going to be very strong? Those are the kind of risk you are identifying already. So you're anticipating the potential risk. And finally, you have to review. That's very important. After drafting your contract, always give it to the lawyers, give it to a more superior technical person, because as easy as it sounds, I have a background in petroleum engineering, but I have always been interested in engineering law. So that's something I took up on my own. I went ahead to study engineering law. So it's to my own advantage. So I draft some contracts, and then I work with the legal team to review and then say, oh, yes, this is very good. This is very good. So it's surprising that petroleum engineering is doing a little bit of work of lawyers here. Right. So it's very important that after drafting your contract, give it to a more technical person, and then finally the legal team. So because there are some clauses, there are some phrases that might be hidden. You might not decode these things. Say that guarantee form that says that they are only going to fix the any software issue on that phone, but yours is hardware. So now you are signed. Yes, they said they were going to give you 6 months warranty. So you mean that whatever happens to my phone, I'm coming back. But now, because you do not read and understand, it's stated there, it might not be so bogus. You might not catch it immediately that, yes, it is only software. By the end of the day, we refer you back to you. But normally, Nigerians, we see terms and conditions. We don't bother reading everything. We just, yes, I agree. Yes, I agree. So it's good. If you have any question as I'm talking, you can just drop messages in the chat box so that I address the question immediately before we move to the next slide. All right. These are types of contracts in engineering projects. So now, this is not petroleum engineering specific. This is basically project management, because as I mentioned, project management is even, going around in public transport. You are party A, the conductor or the driver is party B. You guys have to agree on a certain price, on a certain amount before you can board and move to your destination. So yes, this first one is a lump sum contract. What a lump sum contract means is basically fixed price. It means that at the end of this project, or even before the project starts, I am giving you so and so amount. I'm building a 5-bedroom apartment, and we are agreeing that I, the client, am only going to pay you 5 million naira. However you want to do it, I don't care. I don't care however you want to do it, because it is a fixed price contract. It doesn't go beyond 5 million. Say, by the time you start constructing, you now realize that, oh, I didn't account for glass. I didn't account for getting water from another source. I didn't account for pumping machine failing. I didn't account for the cost of cement going higher. That is not the client's business, because you both signed a contract on a fixed price. So whatever happens, that's why you can see the risk allocation here. Risk allocation means the party that carries the financial and operational risk should in case the project runs into a problem. So you can see here that the risk for a lump sum contract is on the contractor. It means that whatever happens during the course of the project, the client is in no way liable for it. We have agreed for 5 million naira. You cannot come back to me and tell me that there is what's it called, the inflation, or there is strike or something. You cannot come back and tell me that. We have agreed on a fixed price. It's just like you want to buy a car. You could either go to a car lot and then they tell you this car is for 10 million naira. Now, for that, you might want to bargain and be like, oh, I don't have up to 10 million naira, but I can afford 9.5 million. That is not a fixed price contract. A fixed price contract is you trying to shop online. You want to buy data on your MTN app. The price is there. You cannot bargain with anybody. There's nobody to call and be like, oh, I don't have up to this amount. I think when MTN raised their data plan, I think from 2000, I think it was 2000 for 15 gig. I can't remember, for a week. And then they raised it to 6,000. Oh, a lot of people complained on Twitter. They did a lot of this, but I mean, it's a fixed price contract. Nobody's going to pity you and be like, oh, well, situation of things, I know you cannot afford it, I will reduce the price. It doesn't work that way. It is a fixed price contract. So the flexibility is very low. Flexibility refers to how adaptable the contract is if the project scope changes. So whatever happens, it's not so flexible. And the cost predictability, it indicates how easily the client can forecast the final project cost. This is very important. Before starting a project, you do your feasibility study, you put all your materials to use. Oh, the cost of sand is this, cost of cement is this, this is this. You can predict the cost. And the best use case is, the type of contracts where this is going to work. This type of contract is going to work. So it works best in a well-defined project. Well-defined. If your project is not well-defined and you sign a lump sum contract, you might end up running into trouble, because you don't have control over the market. You don't have control over the contract itself once you sign it. Once you've signed it, you sign that fixed price. So you would rather go at a loss. In fact, you might go out to borrow money to fulfill the terms of that contract, because if not, you're going to be liable and you could be sued and you pay for damages and all of that. So while you are reading any type of contract, it is best for you to read and understand, read line by line. We're going to do some case studies, so we'll try to identify what kind of contract, kind of risk is in this project or not. So the second one is cost reimbursable. Cost reimbursable. This means in the case whereby you have a fixed price, which is the lump sum, cost reimbursable is the client you can go back to the client to ask for more money. Oh, the cost of cement is now 10,000 naira. I budgeted 7,000 naira. The client is the one to provide the extra. I don't know if you understand. Are we together, please? Can I see some
Yes.
chat? All right, thank you. So basically, cost reimbursable means that the client is the one holding most of the risk. Say, should in case anything happens, say you issue the contract, you send your boy to the market to buy a bag of water. Bag of water, you give him 500 naira for a bag of water. He gets to the factory and calls you back, sir, a bag of water is no longer 500 naira, it's now 1,000 naira. What that means is you as the client, you sent him, you are the one that is going to provide the excess. You are going to reimburse the additional fee at the end of the contract. So the flexibility is high, very high, because I mean the price could change at any point in time. The cost predictability is low because you cannot really estimate how much unless it's a very, very stable market. Say I will always buy. Hmm, can you give me an example of something that is not so rigid? Okay, that is so rigid. Say you want to buy suya. Even suya now, you can do the scope. So basically, it's like you buying bread is now very, very flexible because bread in Lagos is like 2,500 naira for a loaf. In some other places, it could be lower than that. So cost reimbursable, the predictability is very low. You said something? Okay, so it's from low to medium. So the best use case for this kind of contract is in high uncertainty or R&D projects. High uncertainty means that you are not sure what the market is going to hold. You're not sure where you're going to get in this place. So it's like you're venturing into a new city, you're Japan, you're moving to London. You plan that, so all my accommodation, all my feeding, £1,000. Then you get there, almost like 2005. Call your father, call your brother, like this is the situation of things. So basically, what I like to do is to understand contracts very, very easily. You should simplify it and look for something in your day-to-day life and express that thing. That's why I try to use bus conductor, Japan, do some basic stuff that apply so that you really understand how this contract works. So now, time and material. This one is basically the material and the time. Okay, I'm going to use 5 bags of cement to make 30 blocks in 5 days. So in 5 days, I'm using 5 bags of cement to make 30 blocks. Now, the risk here is shared between the client and the contractor because the contractor could take longer or the price of cement over the 5 days could increase. So basically, the contractor and the client are sharing they are sharing the risk. That's how it is. So the flexibility is high. Also, the cost predictability is low, and it could be in an undefined scope. Urgent starts. You want to start this thing immediately. Oh boy, I need this thing 3 days. Just get it done. Get it done. Move to site. Things like that. The next one is unit price. This one is just the cost of that commodity. I want to buy a TV. TV should not be more than 200,000. So if you are coming with a quote of 250,000, obviously I would know that you want to scam me. So it's just that unit. There's a range, lower bound, upper bound. It should not go above, it should not go below. I mean, for contractors, yeah, it might go below. Someone would think that if your price is too low, you are using fake materials or inferior materials. Sometimes people will be like, oh, I want the expensive price because I feel like this thing is going to be very, very strong. It's going to be very good. But then medium, like, oh, I know to get money. Oh, let me just do this thing like this. So basically, it depends on the client and the contract. That's why the risk allocation is shared between two of them. Incentive based is also like time and materials because for incentive based, it's like if you can finish these 30 blocks in 3 days instead of 5 days, I'll give you more money. That's why see some people, they want to, let me say a bakery, they're supposed to bake 200 loaves of bread per day. But because of that incentive, if you make any extra, maybe you get extra money. So they will try to bake 300 breads, try to go. Sometimes they won't want to work overnight. I know because of the incentive to at the end of that day's job, they will do extra work. That is why the flexibility is medium, the cost predictability is medium. And also, it is used with projects measurable but uncertain quantities. You can measure the bread, but you cannot estimate how much you bake at a particular time. So yeah, projects needing efficiency, early delivery. This is supposed to go for 5 days, but if you can deliver in 3 days, I'll double the money. See people trying to work so hard. That's how that kind of contract is. I called you, I'm like, oh, I want to build a 5-bedroom apartment. How long will it take me? They're telling me it will take me 1 month. So within that 1 month, you are very sure that within 1 month you're going to build it out. Someone else is coming with 2 weeks. Someone is coming with 3 days. Like, I'll build this 5-bedroom in 3 days. Now, it happened in the Bible though, but realistically, you're going to think about it. Is this thing really possible? That's why the risk is shared, because what if the person just takes your money and runs away? That's why it's a shared risk. So that's why it's the best use case is a collaborative project with shared goals. You are trying to achieve this thing and you need early delivery. The target cost is also the same thing. This is the cost at the end of the day. This is what is going to happen. It's not going to go beyond that. Let me go to the next slide. Do you have any questions? Let me see the chat box. Okay, no question.
Please, if you have any question, you can just drop it in the chat box. Then we'll attend to it.
I hope we are following and enjoying this session. Okay, moving on. So a guaranteed maximum price is no way, regardless upon any condition, you must not pass this amount, whatever you are going to do. So now the risk is on the contractor, because I'm telling you, go and get me a G-Wagon for 30 million naira. How are you going to do it? I don't care. If you like, steal it. That's my business. But what I want is that GLE or a G-Wagon for 30 million naira. So it's left for you as a contractor to go and source it. That's why it's best used is flexible project, client cost cap. The client gives you a cap. You can't go above that price. Design to build. Design to build is you want to build a refinery, or basically you want to build a house. You do the design and you build. The risk is also on the contractor, and it's best used in projects that need fast tracking. One person, you need just one manager. Architects, you are going to take this project from the foundation to the roofing. No business, no case closed. That's all I want. Just one person to handle everything, because it's going to be very, very fast. I don't want you now at a point now telling me, oh, you're not specialized in doing decking, you're not specialized in doing the window, you're not specialized in doing the door. What I want is somebody to design and build. That's what realtors do in Lagos now. They build the house from start to finish and they sell. That's what they do now. So that's the kind of contract designed to. So the cost, the risk is on the contractor. A turnkey project or EPC project is EPC means engineering, procurement, and commissioning. So a turnkey project is you doing this kind of project from start to finish. I want to build a fuel station. The contractor is the one to go and source for the location. He's going to do a survey. He's going to see how much volume of fuel this can hold. Doing all of that up until the day of commissioning that fuel station. That's what a turnkey contract is. Used in complex industrial and energy projects. We see a lot of this in the oil and gas industry. Also, design to build. We see a lot of that in oil and gas industry. And the BOT, build, own, then transfer. So basically, it's like you build the facility, you own it, and then every day you transfer it. You build, you own. So this is basically like a startup company. They build it, they own it for a while, then they sell it off to make money. So that's the best case is a large infrastructure with private.
I was still a strength.
All right, so this would be all for contracts. So I want to know if we have any question before we move on to risk management. Yes, please, you can unmute.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for such an insightful and powerful section. You make it so real life dealers. So I'm confident that I'm good in contract already. All right. My question is on this matter of contracts. For example, now if you want to have a contract, maybe a party, another party, can we have a contract without involving a legal practitioner? Like, can there be paper contract you will sign, I will sign without involving the court, like without any legal involvement, and yet it will be legally binded and we can present it to court if there's any case or something like that? Or must a lawyer be involved as a third party? Must the court be involved as a third party when we are trying to come to an agreement or a contract drafting? Thank you, sir.
All right, that's a very good question. So to answer your question, no. The simple question is no, but you don't have to be in the court to sign the contract. You don't have to have a lawyer on standby to sign the contract. But you do need a witness when you're about to sign the contract. But as I said, the key elements of a contract, you should have a legal practitioner. By the time you finish drafting your contract, give it to the legal team. Let an experienced person, technically, maybe you're trying to build a house. So give it to probably an architect or a senior developer. Let him read it and say, oh, maybe you didn't spell out this issue. You didn't spell out this one. It's going to correct you. And then you also give it to the lawyer. What the lawyer looks for is the ways to transfer the risk from yourself to the other party. That's all. So if the other party does not identify that risk and goes ahead with the contract, it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that you played that party. No, it did not play the party. The party was not smart enough or quick enough to actually see that clause in the contract. That's why to sign some contracts, they will tell you, take the contract home, like take it home, then review it. So they are expecting that you read it, like you go through it. So imagine a contract for 1 million naira. I want to give you a contract of 1 million naira. And I've included in a clause that at the end of the project, you're going to give me back. Even though I'm not giving you the contract, you're going to pay your VAT on my behalf. Like you're going to pay VAT on my behalf. So you're going to pay more than 1 million. I'm not the one paying for the VAT. So by the time I'm giving you my 1 million, I subtract the VAT and I pay you 800k. Just saying. And then you are complaining that no, Oga, we agreed 1 million naira now. I'll now take you back to that clause. CEO, it was stated here that you would be the one to pay the VAT on this project. So basically, what it means is write your contract, draft the contract, then give it to somebody to review. It's always very important because as much as easy as it sounds, it's very, very technical and it costs companies. There are companies that because of one simple mistake, they have some, major financial issues right now. Did I answer your question a bit?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
All right. So do we have another question before moving on?
Yeah, hello, sir.
All right. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. That was a very, very insightful one, very detailed and very robust. For this contract, majorly on the EPC and turnkey, looking at it for the risk allocation, seeing that it's being handled by the contractor, now seeing that the if for the turnkey, like you explained, the EPC takes full fledged of the activity from ranging from the engineering, procurement,
From
construction,
start to
and
finish.
then hands everything over to the client. Now, my
Right.
question is, how is this scope of work defined to avoid scope creep, like these gray areas, like utilities, tie-ins, or permits that should be clearly allocated between the client and then the contractors? Because let's say in the issue of getting licensing, from your NDPROA, right? Is it that of the
NMDPRA.
EPC to go for the licensing, or it falls down to the client? Thank you, sir.
All right. Yeah, so as I said, a turnkey contract, EPC contract are mostly used in complex industries, mostly oil and gas too. So how this works is you are a contractor. Now you have been awarded a turnkey contract to provide an export terminal. Let me use a simpler one. Okay, a processing facility. So now that is how simple the contract is. You're just providing a processing facility. So in your own backend, you know that the first thing I want to do before I do this is a feasibility study. I want money. I want you to pay me at the end of my work. As engineers, actually, what we care about is delivering. But now, because I want you to pay me at the end of the job, I'll look at the feasibility of that processing facility. Is it going to give you money? Because if you don't have money, you're not going to pay me too. So I'll look at it. I'll first conduct a feasibility study. I'll conduct a business case before I now start sourcing for the engineering. Am I going to um am I going to precast? Am I going to fabricate? Or I'm going to import, or I'm going to buy? These are the things that you now start trying to figure out. The licensing. At some point, it could be like, oh, in this project, it is the company, no, it is the client that will supply the generator. It's the client that will supply the pump. It's the client that will supply the fire extinguishers. It will be spelled out each party. So by the time you start delivering on the project, you always know that that is not your scope of work. If you go out and buy it, and then God forbid, say there's an issue. They're now starting to do incident reporting. They now find out that, oh, the fire extinguisher was bad. Then they call you out. You're not even supposed to provide fire extinguisher in the first place. Why did you provide it? You provided a substandard equipment, and then it becomes very serious and escalates. So in this kind of project, you already understand your own scope of work. So you spell it out, send it to the client. Clients reviews it. Oh, don't worry about this. I'll take care of this. You can do this. You can do this. Before you sign off. Once you sign off, deal has been sealed. You cannot go back and say, oh, I made a mistake. I didn't see this part. I didn't see this part. Does that answer your question, please?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Hello, sir. Yes, sir. You answered it very, very well. I understand that part now. I still have one pending one, please, sir.
All right. Just go ahead.
Okay, sir. Now, in this regarding this issue of this turnkey, now let's say I, as the EPC contractor, now let's say you are the client, so you want to do like a 1,000 capacity modular refinery. and then you hand over the
Right.
turnkey for me to do. Now, being an EPC, my work is to give the plot design as well as the engineering designs, and then the procurement of the equipment, and then for the construction. Now, I do not want to be the one to carry out the construction of the tank farm base as well as the mechanical erection. Can I sublet that contract to another person?
Yes, you
Thanks,
can.
sir.
But please note that if the person fails, you are going to be held liable because it is within your own scope. So you can subcontract to another person, another party, but just ensure that you are still the one in charge of you are still the one that will report to the client. Your subcontractor will not go over your head to report to the client that, oh yes, okay, I'm done with my part of this job now. Can I get my money? No. It's still you that gave him the job that would pay him and then report to the client. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much, sir.
All right, thank you. So I'm moving on to risk management. Risk management is a structured process to identify, assess, and mitigate risk that may affect an organization's ability to achieve objectives. So why risk management matters? It helps to anticipate problems before they occur. Just like you are saying, you mentioned, oh, can you subcontract? Can you do this? You are trying to identify the risk. Oh, I will not be able to do the construction. I won't be able to do this construction, but I can subcontract. So now you have identified and anticipated that risk before it comes. You're not getting to the point. As soon as you get your contract, you start looking for your subcontractor. It's not until you get to that construction phase, you now say, oh, I didn't plan this thing. Oh, who can I quickly call now to come to site and start working? It doesn't work that way. So risk management helps you to assess, you identify that problem before it occurs. Also ensures better preparedness and response. Make sure that you're well prepared. You've dotted all the boxes, you've covered all the areas that you might have overlooked. Because once the project starts, that it's possible that you forget a lot of things. Then it improves planning and resilience. Right. These are some types of risk. Technical risk is now design flaws or poor engineering, equipment technology, workmanship issues, and it delays work. That's impact. And you end up spending more money. Schedule risk is missed project timelines due to delays in activities. Sometimes delays could not be your fault. Say you're supposed to mold or cast blocks, 30 blocks, and the rain has been falling since. Obviously, you cannot cast. I mean, the rain is going to wash it off. So, waiting for the rain to stop, it's impacting your schedule. Poor planning, unrealistic deadlines. A lot of people do unrealistic deadlines, and you don't know that you're doing it, but it's just like you're procrastinating in a way. I can finish this thing now. I can finish this presentation in 5 minutes. I can finish this presentation in 1 hour. But when you start, you realize that, oh boy, just like you're trying to read for exams and I read the night before. After reading a few pages, start flipping. This thing is plenty. This thing is plenty. That's how it works. That's how it feels. So the impact is overruns. You end up spending more, and okay. Say the person that could not provide block now is going to impact the bricklayer because the bricklayer is supposed to lay the block. You did not mold the block. Now I might have to pay the bricklayer more money for I think they charge daily. So because he's on standby, but it's not working, I still have to keep paying him. That's how it works. That's overruns. And then contract penalties, and then you have strained stakeholder relationships. You are not mechanics. This is a very good example of mechanic. Okay, I'm coming, okay, I'm coming, okay, I'm coming. And then you never see them. So it strains your relationship with the client. Financial risk is poor cost estimation, budget overruns, or mismanagement of resources. You have estimated 1 million of finish this job, or you need 3 million. How do you want to do it? If it was 1.5 million, maybe you could have roughed it. But it's 3 million. Where do I get? And you can't go back to the client. So it causes reduce profitability, because if you are so, if you think you can cover it, it means that you are going to use part of your profit to complete the project. And the project may end up not being sustainable. Social risk is linked to human and community factors around the project. A very good example of this is community boys coming to disturb the work. You are trying to build this 5-bedroom apartment. And then community boys are coming, oh, guy, you must settle us before you build anything, or you must do this one, you must do this one. Causing a lot of problem. Imagine people are already working, and then these boys go to attack and then stop work. It leads to work disruption and it harm on the company's social license to operate. Environmental risk is negative impact on the environment due to project activities. There's pollution, there is oil spillage, things like that. Waste management, they are discharging chemical waste into the environment. Results in penalties, delays, and community opposition. Legal and contractual risk. This one is very important. Results from failure to comply with laws, regulations, or contract terms. And in fact, fine, like straight up, federal government will just fine you $50 million, $50,000, 50, whatever it is, just fine you. Then it spoils your reputation. You're like, oh, you're expected to pay so an amount in damages. Do you understand this? Does anyone have a question on this slide before I move on? All right. So this slide is the risk management process, how to identify risk, how to manage the risk. So the first thing is identification. And the goal of identification is to recognize the potential risk early. How do you do this? You brainstorm, you do interviews, you review the incident logs, the audit logs, lessons learned from past projects. Oh, this person did it this way. How did the project end? Let me see if I can avoid this pothole and stuff like that. After identifying your risk, you do your assessment. Assessment is developing a risk register. You've identified all the risks. You're like, oh, how feasible is this going to happen? Is it high? Is it low? Is it medium? Is it critical? All right. Using checklists and flowcharts to trace the risk pathways, probability impact matrix, quantitative methods, doing your Monte Carlo sensitivity analysis. This are used for assessment. Those models are used for risk assessment. After assessing your risk, you now go on to mitigation. And the goal of mitigation is to define the actions that you reduce or you eliminate. If you cannot eliminate it, you manage it. Avoidance, you change the plans to eliminate the risk. Reduction, implementing controls to minimize impact. Transfer, you can transfer the risk to another person, like from client to contractor. Acceptance and developing contingency plans. After mitigation, you now monitor. Yeah, so you are trying to track the risk and update the plans to your project, or you identify the risk in the beginning. As soon as you pass that stage, you document. Oh, because we took this particular way, the risk, you're able to mitigate the risk or reduce the risk. Always document. It's very important. Then you always update, continuous update of the risk register, tracking the risk triggers and early warning signs, periodic stakeholder communication. You need to communicate with your stakeholders, and lessons learned. Lesson learned is very important. And at the end of the project, you do what is called a post-project evaluation. You evaluate the project as a whole. And now, moving on to your risk mitigation strategies. After identifying your risk, the next strategy is to avoid it. That's you're trying to eliminate the risk completely. And what you can do is see this example here. Cancel a risky, unfeasible project. I want to buy a car, a G-Wagon for 30 million naira. Is it possible? Is it not possible? You think about it. You assess the situation. assess the money, assess the general market, assess what do you think? Is it possible? Is it a risky project? You reduce the risk. If you cannot eliminate it completely, you minimize the likelihood or impact. An example is implementing stronger cybersecurity. Say you work in AI company, or you work with people's data in a data company, and there's a risk of losing the data to the public. And then, somebody's information is out there, the phone number, the house address, make somebody's information public. So a way to reduce this risk is boost your cybersecurity measures. If you cannot reduce it, you transfer the risk. You shift the risk to a third party. Use insurance. So a lot of oil companies do this, and it's very important because having an insurance on your product or your vessel or your equipment, even if it's just a rig, you have insurance on your rig that, if someone sees my rig, or my rig gets spoiled or something, insurance is going to cover it. I will not be the one to pay for it. God forbid somebody doesn't have insurance on his car and he has an accident. It means that he's the one that's going to pay for the damages. He has to repair the car. But imagine if he had an insurance. It means that the insurance company that would cover all the damages. They will pay for the repair of the car. And then after everything, you accept. Acknowledge the risk and apply monitoring. It means that you can accept low impact risk that you think that is low. You can easily manage it. You can accept that kind of risk. Basically, that's what a risk mitigation strategy is. This is risk allocation in contracts. This is just, a summary. Clearly assign the responsibilities for risk. Define it in your contract. This person is the one handling this risk. Is it the client? Is it the contractor? Whoever it is, clearly assign the risk. Use clauses for indemnity, liability, and insurance. These clauses save lives. These clauses save companies. It's a lot because it's this clause that somebody will now tell you. Imagine there's a court case, and then they've been going front and back, front and back, front and back. Then someone now goes to the contract and reads and reads and reads, and then brings out one clause. Then because of that clause, they win that case. It's they'll be very happy because it's based on that clause that person was able to identify in the contract. That's why a lot of companies use clauses, even though it might be hidden, it might not be straightforward. But use clauses for indemnity, liability, and insurance. Define force majeure events. People define these things and apply risk sharing models. Okay, if there's inflation, let's share the risk 70, 30, or 50, 50. If the cost of petrol goes up, we'll share 50, 50. We'll cover the cost equally. That's what risk allocation is. And now we've come to case study. So case study 1 is an offshore platform construction. This is a lump sum contract, which means fixed price. The background story, an oil and gas company awarded a lump sum EPC contract for an offshore platform. The scope was well defined, but underestimated. This is the risk, or these are the risks. Contractor bore most of the risk, as expected. Unexpected seabed conditions required extra piling, meaning extra cost. There's no provision for scope variation. So guys, we need to talk now. What do you think will be the results, the outcome of this case study 1? Or what are the lessons learned from case study 1? Anyone can speak. Hi guys.
I think for the case study 1, I think it favors the client.
Right. So I want us to discuss about the outcome. I listed the story and I listed the risks. So now, what do you think are the outcomes of these risks? Because obviously, this contractor did not manage the risk. You probably did not identify the risk, and now there are outcomes. So what do you think are the outcomes? Or what do you think can be the outcome? Let me say one, which is the most simple. The contractor suffered heavy losses because, see, issue number two, unexpected seabed conditions required extra piling. So it means that he had to use his own money to do that extra piling. Can someone else say something, please? What do you think will be the outcome of this case study one? Outcome of the risk. Okay. Another one is because the guy had to do extra piling, it means that the project schedule was delayed. Instead of 3 months, extended to 5 months. This is something that can happen. So our lessons learned for case study one is always include clauses. Imagine if there had been a clause there that, okay, while we are going for this project, in case there is any emergency, natural emergency, because obviously, say maybe there was a landslide or there was an activity on the seabed that was not be controlled by man or was not caused by man. If this contractor had spelled it out in his contract that should in case something like this happens, I'm not going to be held liable. Do you understand? Are we together, please?
Yes, good.
Okay. So if the guy had mentioned in his contract that I will not be held liable for something like this, in case it happens, it would have been good. All right. So case study two, a power plant expansion. This is a cost reimbursable contract. The background is the government engaged an engineering firm under a cost plus incentive fee contract to expand a thermal plant. The risk issues, high uncertainty in design and environmental approvals, clients bore most of the financial risk, contractor had little incentives to control cost at first. What do you think are the outcomes?
Well, for me, the outcome of the risks I see for case study two, sir, due to that high risk of uncertainty in design. So one that I see, and that environmental approval, the cost escalated, and since the client bore most of the financial risks, that you consummate something about cost reimbursable contracts, the project became more expensive for the client than originally anticipated. And then for the contractor side, he had a little funds to control the cost, and then it was protected from the financial loss. But his performance may not have been enough to drive the contract, sir.
Yeah, that's very good. That's a good one. So a lesson learned from this case study is always align incentives. Always mention incentives in the contract to balance the cost at the beginning with the end. They're trying to balance cost control with the schedule. And then in this kind of project, continuous risk monitoring is very important. You need to keep monitoring the risk. You need to ensure that this particular risk has been identified and you are following through with that risk. All right. Case study three is about a construction, highway construction project. It's a build contract, that's the build, own, and transfer. A consortium financed, built, and operated a toll highway under a BOT contract. The risks are financial risks, currency fluctuations, social risk, community protest against tolling, and the legal risk. Government change to regulations midway. So what do you think are the outcomes of this risk? Let me call somebody. I want to call on Precious. Precious, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Please, can you identify the outcome of the risk in case study three?
Okay, so one of the outcomes is that currency fluctuation, that is in the contract, there was no like a clause in case of if there's an increase maybe in the budget. And the other one is community protest against it also, and that can affect the client.
How can you affect the client?
Because the project can't move forward because there's protest against tolling.
Okay, so basically, what I'm expecting is the outcome of this risk. I identify the risk already. So what you could have is, the project schedule, the timeline would have been impacted because they would have to take some time to do meetings with the community heads or the community boys or whoever is causing the protest. Probably take like 1 or 2 weeks trying to settle this. So it impacts the project schedule. Can Martina give us something? Martina, are you with us? All right, Brain. All right. Samuel Omoni.
Okay, for the legal risk, one of the outcome I feel will be there is the person in charge of the contracts may have issues with, since there'll be government change into regulations during the course of the project, and the person may have issues with unclear terms in terms of maybe the legal bindings that's going to keep the project forward. It may have issues with unclear terms. However, the way I understood this build to transfer contracts is that whatever risks that is posed to the contractor at the moment, I think he can as well, as far as he's not owning the projects for a long period of time, he can as well be able to transfer that same risk to whomever is going to pick up from the place that is stopping.
All right, thank you for that. Can somebody tell us a lesson learned from this case study 3? Let me call somebody. Abayomi.
All right. I think one of the lessons I learned is to have a contingency plan, because something such as protest against Tony, like doing your background checks before embarking on as a contractor, like doing your enough background checks so that you know the nature of the place you're actually um, working in. So I think, yeah, that's one of the lessons I learned.
All right, thank you. Yeah, it's always important in your feasibility study to go out there, put it like it is. This highway project now, it's going to cut across communities. So this particular one, you're going to estimate that there will be community issues. So always put it in your contract. So a lesson learned for me here is always include fluctuations, flexible clauses, especially for government regulations in that legal risk. See, imagine, just for the purpose of this conversation, the toll gates in Lagos were just constructed in, I think, NSAS was 20 October. Say they constructed that, or they commissioned that project in September, and they were like, oh, for the next 5 years, we are going to make money off this toll gate. And then after a month, boom, everything stopped. No money. That's a huge loss. So this kind of contract, you could have mentioned that, oh, there's this kind of flexible clause that relates to government regulations. Should in case government says we're not using this to get again, no, what's going to happen to us? You guys are giving us maybe a certain percent every month, depending on how you want it in your contract. So it's basically you trying to identify a risk and trying to de-risk that risk. Hope that makes sense. All right. So these are best practices Again, very important, be clear and unambiguous. Always clarify your scope before you sign any document. Always clarify the scope before you sign. Be proactive in risk identification. Ensure compliance with laws and industry standards. Include dispute resolution. That's arbitration and mediation. Document everything. No matter what it is, even if you have a phone call with somebody, at the end of the phone call, write WhatsApp message, email, sequel to our conversation on the phone. You mentioned so, and so, and I agreed to so, and so. Because, some people be like, oh, where's the evidence? And I'll be like, oh, it was a phone call. Obviously, you cannot remember. I mean, I can decide that, oh, I didn't say that on the call. But because at the end of that call, you made a note based on this call, this was what was discussed. And if the person had any issues with it, he would have mentioned immediately that, no, I didn't say this one, I said this one, and then you'd have settled it. But the most important thing is everything, that chart is documented. Everything is documented. Always learn from past project failures. Very important. And then review regularly and update. So this is a checklist on the right-hand side. Is the scope of work defined clearly? Payment times are they linked to deliverables? So what this means is if your client says, for building a 5-bedroom apartment, I will pay you 20% upon completion of 1 bedroom. So as soon as you finish 1 bedroom, it pays you 20%. As soon as you finish 2nd bedroom, it pays you another 20%. As soon as when you now completely finish the 5, it now pays you the last 20. So imagine you enter a contract and you're expecting payments upfront. They're like, oh, this guy's going to give me the 5 million naira at once. So you went to buy everything you wanted on credit or however you want to do it. Then you're not expecting money. And the guy now tells you, go back to the contract. I stated clearly I would pay upon completion of each room. So always check the payment terms. Risk allocation clauses. Always identify the risk. Dispute resolution. In case there's any dispute along the course of the project, how are we going to solve it? It should always be in your contract. And then the community and environmental obligations. Is it stated? What are we going to do if there's any obligation from the community? These are very key things that you should see in your contract. Thank you very much. I hope that by now, you should already know how to write simple contracts. So we're saying here that contracts here, they're like contract management. Drafting a contract and risk management. They're like two sides of a coin. They go hand in hand together. Very important to go hand in hand together because a well-drafted contract provides the framework for the delivery, the expectations. It provides legal backing. You can present it anywhere that I spelled out my scope of work. And then on the other hand, effective risk management helps us to anticipate uncertainties, minimize them, especially the negative. Every risk is negative, but anyways, minimize the negative impact and then turn the potential threat into opportunities. So for me, the basic takeaway here is that success of any engineering project is not just about technical expert. It's not just about how good we can deliver on this project, but also foresight is important, clarity is important, proactive planning is also very important. Whether you're choosing the right type of contract, EPC, turnkey, BOT, whatever it is, just know that you can safeguard your project. You can build stronger relationships with your clients, your partners, whoever you're working with. So guys, I encourage you guys to approach everything. Like you're going tomorrow morning now, any small thing you see, take it as a project. You want to buy akara, you want to buy puff puff. It's a contract. I'm paying you for this amount. This is what we are agreeing on. Stuff like that. You can start, drafting contracts, small risk management, And then together we would be more resilient, we reduce conflict amongst ourselves. There's not going to be court cases with clients and contractors. And then we would ensure that projects are delivered safely on time and most especially within budget. That's very important. So thank you all guys for your time, for your attention. Thank you for your platform. And I hope that you all learned something. I look forward to questions, if any, and fruitful discussions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pelumi Oluwatayo. That was indeed a great and insightful section. When we were reading the citation of our guest, one of the things we mentioned was that he is, young in both mind and spirit, and he is deeply passionate about mentoring young professionals and equipping them with skills and mindset. Can see the intentionality, like our guests really make it so simple. It look as if risk management is simple. We don't know if it's actually simple or it's one that just makes it so simple to us. Now, the issue of risk management, okay. For those of us in relationship now, we have to ask ourselves, okay, what are the risk management we are putting in this relationship? If it doesn't work, if I want to wash clothes tomorrow now, I ask myself, what if the weather is not good? What can I do? And everything. Like it make it so real, like not just an oil and gas something, but even our day-to-day activities is something that we can practice and get used to. So thank you so much, sir, for such an insightful section. Thank you so much for being intentional. Thank you so much for making this concepts very simple for us. And we also must appreciate our mentor, Mr. Tony. Thank you for bringing such a man that is young in mind, young in spirit, and very versatile to take us on this concept. We really, really appreciate. Please, is there any question? If you have any question for our guests, do you have any question for our guests?
I think Anthony's hand is up.
All right, please kindly unmute yourself and speak. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to say thank you for the wonderful section, Mr. Pelumi. It has been both insightful and educative. And I say a big thank you to that. And for that, I just want to ask a question for those that would need more clarification. Now, the difference between an agreement and an MOU, like for contract agreement and an MOU. So if you can show more light to them so that others can actually know the differences between both of them and also the similarity between both of them. Thank you.
All right. Yes, that's a very, very good question. You see, as I explained here, contract is legally binding agreements between two or more parties. Mutual enforceable obligations and to perform or not to perform a particular duty. So basically, a contract is very simple. It is a document. Although MOU is also a document, but MOU is more like a handshake agreement, whereby it shows your intent, it shows your goodwill. Oh, I am willing to partner with you to deliver this project. That is the memorandum of understanding. It shows my goodwill and it shows intent, but it lacks enforceability. Your contract is one that defines the scope. Contract is one that binds that agreement. So while you have written your MOU, yes, I'm partnering with you, I want to use your facility for this particular job. I want to use the experience you have gained to do this particular job for another person. So I'm coming with you, I'm coming to you with goodwill and intent. So I want to leverage on your own expertise to deliver a job for somebody else. But note, I am the one that is going to be in contract with the client, but I am in an MOU with you. I don't know if that makes sense. So the contract is is legal. MOU is actually legal too. It shows that you guys have actually, understood each other and you have shown your intent to partner and all of these things. So a contract can be an employee agreement, like your offer letter. As long as you sign it, you enter the contract with that company. A service agreement, construction contract. But MOU is two of us, myself and yourself, we are agreeing to collaborate on a project. We are MOU is you bringing two different NGOs together to deliver a project. So it's not a contract, but that's why it's called an understanding. It's a memorandum of understanding. We are partnering to deliver this project, but a contract binds that agreement. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Okay, thank you so much for that clarification. To me, it makes perfect sense, and I will throw it to the house if you need more clarification. And by this explanation, I know you know that there's a big difference between an MOU and important agreement. So to the house, if you have any question, you can ask for clarity.
All right, thank you. I can see someone's hand is raised. Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, mentor. That was a very wonderful and insightful section. We are really grateful and really appreciate. So, sir, my question is bordering on the two particular areas, though. You made mention of legalities or legal engineering, kind of like bringing law into contracts. So for me as myself as a petroleum engineer, I don't know, is there like a particular place or area that we can go and learn this law for this contract? That's for number one. Then number two, so is there like any association that we can learn project management or institution, and what are the costs or what does it entail? Thank you, sir.
Okay, to answer your first question, so for me, I mean, it's quite surprising if I tell you I wanted to be a lawyer. At some point, I wanted to be a doctor, I wanted to be a lawyer, and then now I'm an engineer. So the kind of movies I watch, I only watch medical series. I watch medical series, guys like in the theater, they know their diagnostics, analysis, doing the surgery and everything. I watch them to learn them. And I also watch law series just to understand how cases are, won, how things are brought, like, understanding the full impact of the law. It's not, how do I say this that it's not going to put me in trouble? So it's not like as if you're not trying to bend the law, you're not trying to disobey the law, but you can use the law to your own advantage. So basically, being a lawyer is that's basically your work. You are trying to, thou shalt not kill. You can both use it to your defense and you can use it against you. You can use it to charge somebody and you can use it to your defense. So it's just, your own perspective. So for me, while I was in school, I did engineering law as a course in my final year, where I had a lot of materials. Luckily for me, I had two lawyer friends. My roommate back then in school was also a lawyer. If I was a twin, so they were two. So I was always joining. I don't want to say I was joining their classes, but I always listened in during their sessions. And then when I was doing my engineering law, I had questions. I talked to them. They explained everything to me. And then I went online also to read the what's it called now, constitution. I started quoting sections and subsections, and it was like I was a lawyer because I had lawyer friends, and then we're just vibing and chilling and communicating. So for that, I took it as a passion. You can do that also if you have a flair for it. It's a good one, and of course there are courses. In fact, even at master's level, you can study engineering law for your master's or something. It just depends on you. You can take it as a professional course. And then for project management, there is a body. So my first project management training, I did it on Google Coursera. So I applied for the course. I don't know how much it is now, but I think then it was about $40. But I don't know if you are serious. The project management course is very, very interesting, and it's still on Google Coursera. I don't know. I will drop my email address, or probably if you want to reach me, you can talk to Anthony. I will see if I can still get a subsidized amount. If I can pay for some people to take that course, I will see if that's going to be possible. But if not, because I add some money, and I used to put, I think, 2 people per year on some trainings like this. So I don't know how feasible it will be this time around, but I will see and discuss with Tony how that can be done. If you want to take project management training, it's not just, it's about, I think, about 6 months. So it's very, very intensive. It's a very intensive program, and it's only for the best. If you're not really interested in it, if you just want to have an idea, I don't think it's for you, because that course goes into detail. So I did that course on my own. I joined my company, and then my company was about to like send some of us for a project management training. And I mean, I already had it, but I needed, I needed more. So by the time I went for the physical one, everybody, I was just in the class, and they were like, "Oh, who's this guy? Who's this guy? This guy's an analytical thinker," because I already had knowledge. In fact, I took my journal to the new class. So I was, when they did the exam, you had people from other companies. I was the youngest in that room, and I was the best of that class. So it's basically, you understand, you should know why you want to learn something. If you're not putting your mind to it, you're not really going to get the best from it. So that's all I can say to that effect. I hope I answered that question.
Thank you so much for that. Uh, you have opened a lot of possibilities and opportunities to a lot of persons. Please, I would like anyone that has any question should please make good use of this time now to ask the question while we still have our guest speaker on this call. I think that should be all because no one has declared any interest to ask any question. I feel everyone had a great time. And speaking on behalf of everyone, I want to say thank you so much. Our conversations over the years has always been quite inspiring and insightful. And I thought to myself, it would be of great benefit to the team having you on board. And honestly, you did a good job to discuss the whole contract agreement, drafting a contract is a very vital role in project management. You cannot overlook it. And risk assessment is also a very vital aspect. And then you break it into pieces. And I believe everyone here has a clear knowledge on what to do if given something. So on behalf for Lecture Hub, I say a big thank you for your time. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you guys for having me. I hope you can connect on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is Pelumi Oluwatayo. So you can check on LinkedIn, you can connect. If you can send me a message, I'll respond. And if you want to reach me personally, you can reach out to Anthony, and he's going to put you through. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much once again, sir. We really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much. That was a great one. And aside being a project engineer, I think you're also good as a lecturer. So maybe in the future, can also consider a lecturing job.
I don't think so. It's so funny that I do not like lecturing. So like, I mean, people call me a motivational speaker, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I know how to lecture. I don't even know if you guys understood what I was saying because I wasn't getting as much engagement. But I mean, that's why I try to break it down into layman terms and our day-to-day stuff. But it's all good. As I said, we need to unlearn, learn, and relearn. So like learning is a process, it's continuous. I'm learning new things as I'm talking to you. You know, that's just how life is. We have to keep learning and learning. That's why I said yes. If you want to call me a professor, no, I'm not going to object to that. But it's all good. I'm just on the same level as you are right now. Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate it this night. And thank you so much, Mr. Anthony. Thank you so much. Thank you for making this class available. Thank you for going at an extra mile to bring such a great mind to speak to us. We are so lucky to be in the project management class for this year. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending this class. Thank you so much, everyone. Wish you all a good night rest. Thank you so much.
Okay, good night, everyone.